Good morning. Hey, Joel Boer here with Be Growth Driven. We have an exciting kickoff to a two-part series of what it takes to be a sales professional. It's an important thing. And a lot of times companies look at that, what it takes to be a sales professional. They leave it up just to the sales department. And that's definitely not what it's limited to. But we're going to be joined here this week as well as next week by sales professionals that do this, that the training as far as they train companies through and through how to be sales professionals. Without further ado, we have a number of individuals that will be joining us here. So we have a couple that are immediately with us. We have Moza Bella, as well as Jeff Sarot. Jeff Sarot's been on with us before. Moza, welcome to Be Growth Driven. You as well, Jeff, of course, you're a regular. So, but Moza, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Tell you what, to kind of get us started, why don't you take a moment real quick and introduce yourself, and then Jeff will have you introduce yourself as well.
Sounds good.
Moza, yeah, go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I started with Grand from just a few months ago, and I started with the Cardone University. And so I was born in Vietnam, and growing up in that communist country, you were taught two things. Number one, money or property is a scarce resource, right? Number two, you are expected to give up your personal interest to the community. So when I listened to Grant, actually, and then I moved here, and of course, you stay away from that mindset. However, subconsciously, I still believe that if you want more wealth for you, you're a bad person. And I listened to Grant, and he said that no, actually, if you are not rich, you are selfish. So that blew my mind, and that changed me, and it changed my perception in regards to money and wealth. And then you guys, I heard them talk about being a licensee. And I said, this is, I have accumulated so much knowledge, and I would like to share to everybody, especially the Vietnamese community. Therefore, I signed up for, to become a licensee.
Right. Wonderful. So now tell us a little bit about who you are and what your background is. Where did you start before you came across? You're from Vietnam.
From Vietnam, right? Here. My background is actually in business. I got my master's of business administration. I worked in corporate world, and I hated it because it's all, or maybe because of the company that I was with back then. It's all about profitability was the bottom line, right? And here I am. I wanted to support my team. I wanted to support my staff, and my voice was not heard, and I felt discouraged. And I wanted to stay away from it. And then 2008 hit. And then I realized that it doesn't matter, the higher your position is in that corporate level, the easier for you to be eliminated, because at that point you become an expenditure, right? So they would try to get rid of you, if the economy gets bad. So I looked into healthcare. So I went back to school. I took, the initiative to go back to school, become a nurse, worked for how many years? Oh, wow. I was involved in healthcare for like 10 years. And now I'm working in public health, and it's just, a different journey. But and that's why I feel that I have so much to give to the society, to whoever would like to feel connected with me, because I have different, I have different background, and I've learned a lot in healthcare and how vulnerable life can be. And at that point, it's important for us to realize what are our most important values. Your values may be different than mine, right? Some people would be, so everybody is different. But if we can realize that sooner rather than later, so we can live and enjoy everything into a day like, because tomorrow is no promise.
Right. So just with that scarcity in life, what you saw, what you grew up, those life experiences, that's what's really brought you to this point where now you see this as a mission to help train people on a better life, a way to get to a better life. And sales is an important part of that. What it takes to be a sales professional, it's really going to help rise people above.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Jeff, you want to introduce yourself? That way the audience, those who are first-time viewers, they can see, they can get to know who you are, and then Nick will swing to you.
Sure. Good to be back, Joel. Everybody, I'm Jeff Sorrow. I am a Grant Cardone licensee. I've been part of the program for since April of 2019, and it's been an awesome experience. And for those of you who don't know who I am, I like to refer to myself as an employee-preneur. I'm a full-time employee as a salesperson in a major multinational company, where I oversee our sales of a very specific product internationally. But I'm also a Grant Cardone licensee, and I like to help others who are salespeople, who are business owners, who are people who are trying to build revenue for their company,
Right.
to utilize Grant's information to make their organizations better.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And so I've been in the program as a licensee for, like I said, for instance, about April of 2019, but used the program myself to increase my personal sales. Went from worst to best as a salesperson in my organization, and now I like to help other people do the same. So it's great to be back. I've been on with Joel a few times, and great to be with other Grant Cardone licensees today.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I appreciate that, Jeff, and good to have you back as well. Nick, this is the first time we've had you on here, so maybe give us a little bit of introduction, introduce who you are, and how long you've been with the licensee program with Grant, and what got you there.
Yeah, 100%. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on the program this morning, Joel. Hi to my fellow licensees. I've been using Grant's content for the past 20 years, 2 decades. And I've been a licensee since the beginning of 2020, just pre-pandemic, and that turned the world on my licensee program on its head as soon as I joined the program. The reason I became a licensee is because I've used it for 2 decades. I was in automotive for 2 decades prior to becoming a licensee, so I used the content day one. Somebody handed me a stack of cassettes, Grant Cardone cassettes. I actually had cassettes, and I had to plug in the lighter to the CD player to make it play on the audio in my car.
Love it.
So I got results with it right away. So I went from nothing, just high school, becoming a car salesman and making 6 figures using Grant's content. I ascended to management, and then I started managing and running dealerships. So I was training all my salesmen and women with Grant's content, organically. Right. So I was using this. So I got results. I earned a living doing it. I got great results from dealerships. And it was just a natural progression once this program became available. I was looking for something to do more, be in more of a contribution to other industries and people, still in automotive, but in addition to automotive. So it was a really natural fit for me.
Wonderful. So you've seen this. Now, did you ever look at other programs and see, because we're talking again, we'll keep it on topic, is what it takes to be a sales professional. And, what are some of the key things you notice about Grant's content that helped people get to that point?
To get to what point?
That being what you could be called as a sales professional. Sorry.
Well, you need the knowledge.
Right.
You need to have an understanding of what you're doing. There is a process. So you need the knowledge. You need to know what you're doing, what questions to ask.
Right.
Just where to go. You need to have an understanding about it, and then you need to be committed to learning and to stay learning, and then practice through repetition.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and so as we kind of get into some of the different points around this topic of what it takes to be a sales professional, there's a lot of people that feel that, hey, not everything in life is sales. They've heard maybe the comment of maybe somebody first time they start hearing Grant's content, and he'll talk about, you know, how he sold his wife. And they think that is just so, you know, such an offensive way to term it, you know, to term it. What do you guys think? I mean, selling is a way of life. Is everything in life a sale? In any one of you?
I believe it is. I fundamentally believe everything is a sale, right? Yeah. I mean, everything doesn't have to be transactional with someone, but you're selling somebody on your concepts, your idea. You have to sell yourself to get up out of bed in the morning. I had to sell myself to come on this call, even though I committed to it. There's other stuff I could be doing right now, but I showed up, so I had to sell myself. I had to sell myself on my commitment to Grant's material, to push it out into the market. I have to be so sold on it myself to sell others on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Jeff or Moza? What do you think? Everything in life is sales. I mean, Moza, you come from a completely different background dynamic.
Yeah. So to me, sales is about being persuasive. So like Nick said, I totally agree with you, Nick. You have to be so first. So first of all, we have to believe in either the product or the service that we would like to present to people. And then we just have to believe in it first, and then believe that we give them the best service. So to me, it's more ethical that way. You have to be very persuasive so they see what you see, and then you're gonna just have to take care of them. So when we listen about to Grant's materials, it's more about customer service, right? It's more about you care for them. It's not about you anymore. Even when you sign that contract, it's more about them, about the customers. And I think that would differentiate between the professional salesperson and the not so professional.
Right. Absolutely. Jeff, what do you think? Everything in life is sales? We might have lost Jeff momentarily. That's what happens. Jeff is joining us from the beach, and 10X licensees hit the beach a lot. So just a little bit. We'll circle back to Jeff. His internet connection's a little bit choppy where he's at. So
I believe, like, you know, there's more to life than sales, but I believe everything is a sale, right? Like, sales isn't the only thing, the be all and end all, but I believe everything really is a type of sale. You know? Right.
And it goes to there was a definition of sales that I heard that I really think alike, because a lot of times when people think of sales, they think of the sleazy car sales guy or the sleazy, you know, guy peddling a vacuum cleaner or this magical cleaner at the door. Right? They think of that person, or the front sales guy trying to sell you a furnace at Walmart or Sam's Club or whatever. But there was a definition I heard that I think really fits this discussion. Is sales is motivating someone to take action that's in their own best interest. So when we're, as you said, Moza, we're persuasive. We're motivating them to take an action that's in their best interest. That's when you're making a real sale. You know, you're not cheapening that process. It's not about you. It's about them, because when you service them first.
Can I touch on that a little bit?
100%, man. 100%.
So I don't believe sales should be sleazy at all. And, like, you know, coming from automotive, and like I don't take offense to it. Like, I did it for 20 years. I started as a used car salesman. It should be, this is how I frame it to my clients. When you're doing it correctly, it should be a conversation, not a presentation. It should feel like a presentation. It should feel like a conversation. And in fact, I don't actually sell anything. I just put buyers in a position to say yes. So what I do is I have a conversation, and I open a big door and I let them walk through the door. It doesn't, you know, if you're lying to people, if you're not delivering on what you say you're going to do, if you're utilizing pressure incorrectly, you lack technique.
Right.
If you have the correct technique and you ask the right questions, it's not going to feel sleazy at all. In fact, they're gonna close themselves and ask you for more and pay you high amounts of money to do so.
Right. Absolutely. Jeff, I think you're back with us now.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. You know, that's the life of a licensee. You're at the beach.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's the life of not knowing how good the Wi-Fi is wherever you're staying. That's the life. So, so apologize.
So Jeff, what do you think? Is everything in life a sale?
I think it is, and you know, from what I heard my compatriots here say before I got booted, I think everybody agrees. I think in my case, I think people don't even realize how much everything in life is actually a sale. You know, I mean, I think people don't realize that the other parts of your life where sales has to occur is practice for the business world, getting your kids to get up and eat breakfast, talking to your wife or your husband about where you're going to have dinner tonight.
Right.
Just, making the small moves in your day-to-day life are things that if you learn that those are sales and those are things that take persuasion, mastering that helps people become better in the business environment because it's the exact same thing. It's just a different subject matter that you're working through with the person on the other side of the transaction. It's
Right.
get my kids to eat breakfast, get my customer to sign this contract. At the end of the day, if whoever you're speaking to does not see enough value in the process of taking action, they're not going to take the action. It doesn't matter if it's getting your kid to eat breakfast or getting your customer to sign a contract. And so that, to me, one of the biggest things I learned from Grant was that sales does not just happen in the office. It's happening in everything around you in what we do all day, every day. But most people don't realize that those little tiny pieces of life are also transactions.
Right. So now let's kind of dig in because we want to give some people some value to kind of anchor in on this. What's, to become a sales professional now, as we're talking about how sales affects all aspects of life, it's going to affect your children, your family, your spouse. If you're not married and you want to be married, guess what? You're going to have to make a sale.
That's right.
100%.
If you want kids with that, you're going to have to close something, and in a dignified, beautiful way. However, what's the most important sale that people need to make? If they're breaking this down, maybe they're like, I don't feel like I'm a salesperson, but I definitely want to get paid more. I definitely want to be around, I want to get married or something like that. What's the most important sale?
To yourself. You need to sell yourself on yourself. You need to increase your capacity as an individual that you can. You need to have the awareness that this is something that you want to do. And then you need to set the intention and actually go after it, and then develop your skill set by increasing your knowledge.
Right. So how would somebody get started on this? I guess you could say like that most important sale. So would you guys all agree, Jeff and Moza, is that it's yourself first? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's yourself, and it's either your product or your service or your belief or whatever it is that you're pushing into the market.
Yes.
You have to be sold on you, and you have to be sold on whatever it is that you're delivering, to the marketplace. And if either of those two things are not completely in sync, then you're not going to have as much success as you probably want and deserve as a salesperson.
Absolutely.
That's a great point.
So it's got to be the same.
Absolutely. Moza, what do you think?
Well, I totally agree with Jeff and Nick. And yes, believe in yourself. And actually nowadays, personal branding is a thing. Everybody has to have that image, and you have to be sold. I mean, people have to perceive you as a person. You have to humanize your brand. And I think that's the key that people are talking right now. So yes, I totally agree. We have to sell ourselves first, and then our beliefs, either product, service, or $1 million idea that is not even protected, but you still have to believe in it to be able to sell it.
Absolutely. I love it.
That's
love
right.
it. So what is it now when somebody says, okay, I've sold myself. All right. I know I need to do it. Where would be what are some of the first steps do you think someone needs to make in order to kind of like keep up with that? Because they can't just say, well, I believe, and that's it. It doesn't make them a sales professional.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the constant regular activity? What are some of those activities that someone could focus in on?
I would say training on a regular basis. Just to backtrack a second on what Jeff said, that's the second most important sale, being sold on whatever product or service you're delivering. If I don't believe in it, or I have any doubt, or I'm going to show up and I'm just going to fake it, people are going to see through that. If I don't, if I'm selling warranties, if I'm selling insurance, cars, a property, HVAC, whatever it is, if I don't actually believe it, if I'm just putting on a facade, then you're going to come across that. I do also think in order to sell yourself and to become great, you need training. you need to you can read books, you can do online training, you can connect with a coach or a trainer or join a program or join a group. There's an infinite amount of ways. You have to make a decision. You have to decide. The number one thing too is you have to decide, I want to do it, and make the choice that I'm going to do it, just like working out. Once you make the decision, then you got to follow it through by showing up.
Absolutely. Okay. Love it. What would be, is there, on the sales training, like what would, there's a lot of different content out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different courses. People get inundated. They go to the internet, type in sales training, they Google that, they're going to come across a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Why would, since we're talking to 10X licensees, Grant Cardone licensees, why do you think the 10X program for training to be a sales professional is above par, just beyond, compared to the other programs out there?
It blows them out of the water. For $99 a month or whatever the program is, you get 35 years worth of Grant's content. It has everything in there. You can watch it on demand. You can watch it on your phone and your laptop. You can watch it anywhere. It has everything from the basics to intermediate to advanced. So it has the nuts and bolts if you're day one, and then it has high level principles. And for the minuscule amount that you pay to that, the value is exponential. Like it's the number one resource out there, 100%.
I think in my case, everything Nick just said is 100% correct. However, for someone who's just kind of looking at where to start or what to consume, in my particular case, it was, where are the other people that are also having success with this content, and what is their results been?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And does that match what I'm trying to do for me? Right. And so before any dollars were ever spent from me, I think probably most people who are familiar or become familiar with Grant, YouTube or Instagram or Facebook are probably the first places where they encounter his message. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to figure out, like, okay, are people actually really applying these strategies and getting the results? And when I started seeing how many people were, taking businesses from, 0 to hero, it's like, okay, there's something here. There's something I can believe in. And then the second part of it was the stuff that I was learning from this man, was this something that fit my belief about selling and doing business? And were these ideas things that I believe were ethically sound and made sense for how I wanted to sell? And if those two things were the answer were yes, and that's what turned out to be, I'm done. I'm in. Let's do it. And that's, but so people have to, find out what fits their ethical being of being a salesperson.
Wonderful. Moza, what do you think?
So to me, since so I attended different schools, and because of my academic background, I can say that with Grant's materials, the difference is that he would break it down to change your perception about certain things, especially about sales, and it would change your psychology about it, and the philosophy behind it, and at the same time, he would deliver specifically what to say to when you actually talk to your customer, and your customer gives you an objection. How can you respond to that verbatim? And I think that's the difference. And people can just take the materials and the knowledge and the information, and they can apply today, instead of having something very vague or ambiguous. They can have something concrete to apply today.
Right. So kind of to recap, it's like when if you're going to look for the right information to become a sales professional, when you can get actionable steps that you can put into gear today, you can see the proven results, like Jeff, you were talking about, see those results where people have gone from 0 to hero with the information. I mean, that's validation there alone. And so because a lot of people will look at this and they'll say, hey, well, that was for them. They're special, right? But I think we all kind of have the same opinion on that. That it's not really it's not a special matter. It's an action matter.
The differentiation point is you can watch all the videos, you can take all the trainings, you can attend all the events, and you can spend all the money in the world on this stuff, and whether it's Grant or anybody else. But it's what do you do with it? It's do you take the massive action that you have to take with the newfound information that you have and put it into place? If you know, look, if you buy a new Ferrari and you let it sit in the driveway and don't drive it anywhere, it's just a car sitting in the driveway that you spent a bunch of money on. You don't get to have fun with it until you turn the key, you're inside the car, you hit the gas pedal, and you go. And that's the same principle with any sales training. Is you've got to hit the gas pedal with it. But if you don't, you just got this, you know, you've just got a bunch of information. It's useless unless it's applied.
Awesome. I love it. Love it. Were you guys always good at sales?
No.
Jeff,
yes.
You want to start? Yeah.
I was terrible at sales. I was so bad because I was so bad at it. I was terrible at it. I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you feel, Jeff? You said no too. So
I said no, but what I would expand on that, I would say, like, I was any success that I had in sales, I later learned was entirely by accident until I got the right information to be good and consistent. Anyone can have a sale fall in their lap, or anyone can have all the stars align and you sell something.
Right.
Where you become professional is when you get consistent and reliable and good. And where your repetition comes from doing it over and over and over again and applying the right strategies into a sales process. Anyone can, any car dealer, any car salesperson could have someone walk through the door and buy a truck off the lot today. That could possibly happen, but that's a once in a here and now situation. It's the people who close every deal that walks through the door. Those people have learned something or found something as a repetition basis of professionalism.
Right. I think what you're touching on there, Jeff, is when you can get to the point of predictability.
That's
you can
exactly
say, hey,
right.
I can talk to 100 people, and out of that 100 people, I'm going to close 70.
But the predictability knows from how to, knows when this customer comes to the door and he gives me this objection, my answer or my response or my rebuttal to that objection is going to be, this. Like knowing what you're going to say in every imaginable situation, that is when you become indispensable and very, very professional and good.
Right. Moza, you said no, but you said it was not the strong area. What about what has helped you become a sales professional then?
So I think what happened in the past is that, you just got out of college, right? And when you had a degree in sales and marketing, you had to have a sales job. The problem was that I did not believe in the product and or the services that I tried to persuade people. So I was not sold. So it was very hard for me to try to fake it. Like Nick said earlier, people would see through that, right? If you say something that you don't believe in. And I think that was the key component. But now the difference is that, I am the licensed Grant Cardone licensed coach. And I believe wholeheartedly in the product that I am trying to present to people. So I'm not even considering myself a salesperson. I am just presenting, and I'm just sharing the knowledge that I have learned from Grant, and that's the difference.
There you go. Nick, you when asked the question, were you always good at sales? You said yes.
Yes.
Expand on that for us.
It's just something I've always done.
Right.
But like Jeff said, I wasn't a professional. I was an amateur. Now I can sell with predictability, with complete confidence, and it doesn't matter what the product is as long as I'm sold on it. I mean, I've sold ideas, I've sold concept, I've sold words, like I've sold things that are non-tangible products. But I always work on my craft. Like training isn't something I did, it's something I do. I read these books behind me. I've read them dozens of times. I watch the video content consistently. Like I consistently do it to improve on my craft, much like a professional athlete would practice going to the driving range or to the batting cage. So that's why I consider myself a professional. So I can sell with confidence and ease and with grace because I know what I'm doing. I don't have to think about it, right? So it's a good marriage, but I'm constantly working on it and getting new information.
Love it. Love it. Fantastic. I think you're highlighting an important thing is, if someone out there that's listening to this, if you don't always feel that you were good at sales, what Nick laid out here was just that consistent ongoing training. And some people think, well, that's just, I don't have the time for it. Well, you don't have the time not to do it.
That's right.
Yeah, I actually now with my skill set is higher than it's ever been. The sales that I make now are more expensive than I've ever made. I train more now than I ever had. I train more now as a professional than I did as an amateur. When I did have that guy come in and just say, "Hey, I want this Dodge Ram or whatever," and it just fell into my lap.
Right.
I work more at my craft now than I did as an amateur.
And looking back, you're like, that was a hand me. Thank goodness I had a hand me, right there. It wasn't because I was good at sales. It just, landed in my lap. But
I was spoiled. I was in the right place at the right time. It came to me.
Yeah. So now that's an important aspect. Show up.
Mm-hmm.
Get good at sales by showing up consistently. Mm-hmm. You're going to start taking information. But as Nick, you touched on, a lot, Jeff and Moza as well, is that consistent training, that consistent polishing. And it's not just, a couple times a week. It's something that needs to be a little bit every single day. Or initially, maybe it's a lot every day. And then as you bring that down, you're going to have, of course, less time for it. But it needs to be something that you consistently work on every day. I know our organization uses that. I do it. I expect my team to do it. So 100%, I'm all in. I try to get that Cardone University done right away in the morning, so that way it's good. How do you guys stay committed? Moza, do you want to touch briefly on how you stay committed?
You have a clear vision of what you would like to achieve and your mission. And we write down the goals every day, right? So Grant said that we have to write our goals twice a day at least.
Right.
Right before you go to bed and then early in the morning when you wake up.
Right.
I have my goals and you have to visualize where you want to be before getting there.
Right. It's a destination.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Yep. Jeff, how do you stay committed?
I think for me personally, a lot of it comes from exactly what Moza just said is knowing what the goal is and knowing what the destination is. And just knowing that can't be the final destination. You get to the goal, you celebrate that win, you pick another bigger, farther reach for the next one. Yeah. And as long as you're constantly trying to get further down the road of bigger, more exciting, juicier goals, then your commitment will follow.
Right.
But, I want to say one thing about the goal setting that I think is really important that a lot of people miss. It's okay. First of all, you should absolutely write your goals down twice a day. There's no doubt about that. But making sure that what you write as the goal and what it is that you're working for in as much specificity as possible is extremely important. If you just say, I want to lose weight, okay, that's just, there's no way to measure that. It's got to be a measurable, specific goal, because seeing yourself achieve those things is the drive of the commitment. Showing yourself that you can do it is going to release the endorphins of making you want to do more and bigger and better of those things. So that's the content of each goal has got to be very, very specific and very, very measurable.
Absolutely. Nick, how do you stay committed?
Just to echo what Jeff said, I keep creating goals that are so big it pulls me towards them. And it's not just a cliche. Where I faltered and failed was I failed to keep setting new goals. So I set goals initially, I hit them, and then I kind of coasted and drifted without purpose. So now I'm very clear on what I want and multiple facets of life, not just financial, but multiple facets, whether it's like family, spiritual, personal and professional goals. So I'm working on all of them simultaneously in concert with one another. I'm always checking in with myself, and I'm being brutally honest with myself. Am I working towards them, or am I kind of just coasting? Right.
Absolutely love it. So just to kind of recap for everyone that's watching right now, what we've broken down is really like everything in life that we encounter is sales. And to be able to see how to navigate through that, we need the right information. We're talking about commitment right now and goal setting, because that commitment comes right with that goal setting that we talked about there too. So just invaluable. And I think Jeff and Nick and Moza, you highlighted some really key things as far as it can't be these fluffy goals, and it has to be something that you're committed to writing down every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to eat every day, right? So you should probably write your goals down every single day too.
And notice how they change.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, notice how they change. Like what you don't want to do is you don't want to, I write my goals in a 10X planner. I think probably all of us, on this screen do, but you don't want to look at yesterday's goals and just recopy those down. You want to start from a fresh mind every time you write those goals down, and you'll notice that they will change. You'll notice that the priorities will shift, and that is the telltale sign of what you really, really want. What just comes out of your mind and through the pen and onto the paper is going to help you determine what it is you're really, honestly, and truly trying to work for.
Right. I mean, I think it's one of those things that as you go through this practice, you go through 60 days of that, you start to really get a clear vision of what your destination is taking you to.
Yes.
And your mind starts trying to solve that problem. The beautiful thing about that daily goal writing is you're really helping to educate yourself that this is within your reach. Because we get so much information that tells us that, hey, no, you're reaching too far. That's out of your reach. It's not for people. It's not for, if you came from a poverty state, maybe you get the information that, hey, that's not for us. It's for these other special people. It's not for us, right? In one shape or form or another. Now, we're not just talking about business success. We're talking, Nick, you touched on spiritual and family and those types of things. A lot of people get stuck. And so goal writing is so important, so valuable. Thank you so much. What is we'll go around to each of on this question here is, what does 10X mean to you? Moza, you want to start with us? What does 10X mean to you?
Well, 10X to me is to be the greater self, because that's what I want to be a 10X in my life first, so I can be at the position to provide more values to other people's lives. And
Right.
From there, they can be the best version of themselves. And that's my ultimate goal.
Wonderful. I love it. Jeff, what does 10X mean to you?
My answer to this is always the same every time I'm asked this, and it's the 10X is the standard. Okay, it is the standard you are trying to achieve for yourself. To go through Nick's list, which was awesome. Yourself, your business, your spirituality, your family life, whatever it is, it's the standard, and you have to do 10 times more than you expect in order to get the results that you're looking for, and that is the high watermark. And if you're always trying to achieve that, even if you fail, you will be so much further than if you had set a smaller goal, a smaller standard of performance. And to me, that you can have that standard in every aspect of your life.
Love it. Love it. Nick, what does 10X mean to you? You've been in it for so long. You've been in it way longer, I think, than a lot of us here in the state.
Yeah. Well, what's really cool is even when you write down your goals, I've actually seen them manifest themselves and come into reality, and then I have to change them on the page, because the stuff that I used to write, I'm like, hey, I heard this from Jared Glant one time. I've already checked off a lot of those things.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. It gets me through the mundane, because you know what? Calling on 15 clients, doing a bunch of emails or outbound stuff is not exciting. But my vision might be to have freedom in time and movement. That's one of my personal goals. So 10X to me is always being in massive action, taking massive actions persistently over long periods of time. being a living demonstration, always in action towards what I'm working on, right? Most importantly to myself, to my family, and to others.
Love it.
I like
Love
that,
it.
Nick. A living demonstration. That's good. I really like that.
Well, now I want to touch on one word you said. You said manifest, right? So, but see, there's some key things that people that are listening right now need to understand. When he says manifest, it's not, there's a few social rooms like on Clubhouse. So those that watch this later, maybe Clubhouse won't be around, but people talk about manifesting their destiny, and a lot of times those people are just simply hoping and dreaming, right? That's it.
Yeah, this ain't the hope system. This is the taking action system, right? Like, so I don't just hope that I'm going to do this. I do X, Y, and Z. Like, I go through the whole alphabet between A to Z to make those things happen.
Right. That's exactly, Nick. I'm glad you brought that out, because that's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah.
It's like we see these things manifest. That term of definition of the term manifest, right? It's because a result of you're focusing on this day in, day out, and you're consistently taking action in that direction. So there's really like the key thing. So you nailed it right on the head. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today on Be Growth Driven. We're talking about what it takes to be a sales professional, and literally we highlighted some key things. There's some action points that people can take away from this. Number one, you got to sell yourself, hands down. You got to be committed that the product, the service, the action that you're trying to take, you got to sell yourself. That's you got to make that first sale. Simple as that. And then you got to take massive action. You got to make the moves. Nick, you share that you went from nothing to to managing dealerships and those types of things. So you got to take the move. Some of those probably took some courage. Jeff, the same way. I know you and I have been friends for a long time. You're taking some massive actions there too on a career path as well as being a licensee. It's not an easy thing. And Moza, your background from Vietnam and those changes there, you had to have taken massive action to break out of that.
Absolutely.
So kind of layering it down like this, what it takes to be a sales professional is way beyond, I'm going to go get a job in sales.
You have to want to do it. The key, the magic thing, is you have to want to do it. It's like anything. And it's so simple. If you don't want to do it, nothing's going to happen. You have to want to do it. That's the key.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, if you ask them that hard enough question, what is it you really want out of life? Like what's on this ideal life list? If you were to break it down, what's this ideal life? And the reality is this list of ideal life. And when we're talking about that, we're not talking about, well, I want to be able to pay the bills. That's not what we're talking about.
That's not exciting.
Yeah, that's not an ideal life. What's the ideal life? It's much bigger than that. It may be Jeff living at the beach, for where he's at, right?
You're right.
But it's so many different facets. But then the other question I think the other question to ask that people need to be asking themselves on that sales professional path, what are you willing to give up?
Oh, that's huge.
What are you really honestly willing to give up? When is enough enough?
I've had to give up a lot. That's a key. Could be a whole nother episode. But I've had to give up so much stuff, man. There's so much. Yeah. That's another part of it.
100%. So what 10X means to you, and for those of you that are tuning in, you don't know what 10X is, I highly recommend. We listed each and every single one of Moses, Jeff's, and Nick's social links there as well. So please go out, follow them. Make sure that you're staying in contact. These people are laying out the information that's going to help you grow. There's so much disinformation that's out there, and these are the people that you want to be following to get this information to stay in tune of how to become a sales professional, how to have a fuller, richer life now and into the future. Where do you want to see your family go? Where do you want to see your life go? And sales is a critical component of that. So next week, we're going to continue talking about this thing called what it takes to be a sales professional. We'll have part 2. We have a number of other licensees that are joining us on all this. So I appreciate you guys making time out of your valuable day to join us today.
Thank you.
So
thank you, Joel. Great info, everybody. And it is, I will just say it's really awesome to be, part of the licensee team with these two that you see on the screen here, because it's a great group of folks, and it's a great mission to help other people to, get access to this information that's helped all of us so much. So
wonderful.
Thanks for putting us out there.
I think next week, Jesse, do we have our friend from Dubai on by chance? There's a possibility. Who knows? So there's some exciting things we'll have on next week's episode as well. So we invite you all to tune in. There's some beautiful things that are happening that are helping business professionals, helping individuals. Even if you don't own a business, you work for somebody else, this is information that you need. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Tune in next week. We have an exciting episode ready for you.